2 weeks with the Whoop strap was all it took. 2 weeks that culminated this week with the announcement of the Whoop 4.0. That was enough for me to decide this is not for me. And when I cancelled my trial online last night, got a full refund, Whoop said they didn't even want the strap back. So I guess this one's not in for them. Gonna need that for the rest of the video though. Now first, if you use a Whoop strap and you like it, I'm delighted for you. I bet you can't wait for the 4.0 version. It certainly looks like it will be a step up. This video is not intended to suggest there is that much wrong with the Whoop strap at all, and what there is, the new version will probably solve it. I've just come to the quite sudden conclusion that it is just not for me. So as you may know, I've been trialing the Whoop alongside a Garmin Vivo Smart 4 for 24/7 tracking of my sleep, my readiness to perform, and the strain that performance then creates. I then use a Garmin Fenix for detailed monitoring of the actual physical activities that I'm doing, whether that's running, cycling, whatever. Whoop has obviously no integration with the Fenix. The Vivo Smart does, although as I said in my last video, the synchronization between data collected from both Garmins is not quite as seamless as it could be. Now it's been an interesting couple of weeks to do the comparison because I've got coming up tomorrow a 100-kilometer ultramarathon, and my training load a few weeks ago was so unbalanced it saw me literally pass out on a run. So I figured I should probably go into the ultra properly rested but not too rested, and hence I started looking at tracking myself with these gadgets. And there's no doubt using these has seen me focus on getting good sleep, moderating my activity levels, and then ending up today feeling actually ready for tomorrow. So why am I not keeping the Whoop? So Whoop basically takes lots of measurements and generates from that 3 values and bases all of its guidance around those. Sleep, how long did you get and what quality was it? Recovery, how ready for the day's exertion did that sleep leave you when you woke up in the morning? And then strain, how is your day-to-day activities, and that includes any specific time dedicated to exercise, impacted you? The idea roughly is that you get a great night's sleep, you'll then get a good recovery score and can then strain yourself as much as you like. Conversely, if your sleep sucks, your recovery will be low and it will then advise you to keep strain low accordingly. Does it work? Yes, in the sense that it does provide the data it says it will, and having run it alongside the Garmin, measurements seem pretty consistent across both platforms. Garmin uses the body battery metric, which sort of combines strain and recovery together. It will go down fast as you exercise or slow as you just plod your way through the day, and then up as you rest and up a lot as you sleep. So when I had a rough night, for example, a few days ago, I don't know why, just disturbed sleep, Whoop said that my recovery that morning was very low, and Garmin said that my body battery had never got back to full charge. So both telling me, take it easier today and make sure you get a good night's sleep tonight to make up. So the sleep data seems good, and it does make sense to be aware of it. You might think that you would know if you'd had a bad night's sleep, but actually maybe not. Both of these are checking your heart rate variability, and that's widely regarded as a better measurement of your readiness for exertion than simply checking your resting heart rate, although that is a good measurement for general overall fitness. And the studies show heart rate variability is a measurement that is best taken at night when you're resting and still. And I like the overnight monitoring. It makes simple sense to me that checking your system while lying asleep in bed still is better than at any other time. And in the past I've woken up feeling fine, but had the body battery tell me that my energy levels were depleted still and my body was under stress. 12 hours later I'm in bed with a 24-hour bug. So it does work. Now where it gets tricky is wide awake data during the day. When you drive or type or cook or whatever else you're doing that will activate the sensors in these things, but not necessarily in the way you would want them to. So both Garmin for its body battery and Whoop for the strain measurements have a stab at monitoring your heart rate all day long while you are moving around. And they get it about as right as you would expect, which is about right. There is no wrist-based heart rate monitor that will get close to a chest strap. Now Whoop have made a big deal that the 4.0 will be better than 3.0, and you'd hope, because 3.0 is poor, but 4.0 is still going to be a wrist-based monitor. I've tried the 3 on my forearm, my bicep, everywhere, and it just does not give anything but flaky results most of the time. Sometimes it will give crazy high spikes in heart rate for no reason, other times it looks okay, but then there's 10 or 15 beats out compared to the Garmin. I just lacked faith in it basically, and during exercise all bets are off. If I stay pretty still it's okay. In fact, I did a run 2 days ago and a bike ride yesterday in here, and compared the Whoop with the Fenix wearing a chest strap. Both sessions were real slow and low exertion, just keeping me primed for tomorrow. So no huge heart rate fluctuations, and physically a very slow run and literally holding the bars on the bike is about as easy a task as you could give these things to do. And they were super consistent with each other, no problems there at all. I'll put up an overlay and you can see that they mirror each other almost perfectly. But I've done race pace runs and Zwift races with big exertion spikes and me bouncing around on the bike, and in that case the Whoop data was just pants. The 4.0 might well be better, but it will never be chest strap good, which is why I'd always be using a Fenix and chest strap to monitor proper exercise metrics. There's also the issue that the Whoop doesn't do a particularly good job of translating heart rate during weight training into strain, and you can see why. When you look at your heart rate during a gym session, if you're doing something like squats or deadlifts, for example, which are clearly straining your body, yeah, you'll see a massive heart rate spike during the exercise, but in reality, that's for a matter of seconds. Even if you do multiple sets, you aren't seeing much of an elevated heart rate overall. Consequently, a 30-minute 5K will generate a greater level of strain than an hour of big heavy compound lifting, and clearly that's not right. And that got me thinking, does it matter most of the time what my heart rate is up to, other than overnight when the heart rate variability should be checked, and during exercise when a chest strap is the gold standard and it's the one that I would be using anyway? And for the average person, even slightly above average, I don't know that it really does. And I wonder if, like so much fitness and health advice, while it might matter and sounds quite cool, it's really not something the average Joe needs to get too focused on. As an example, I'm in the gym yesterday and a guy comes in with his mate. He's brought him along. It looks like it's that guy's first time in the gym ever. Very out of shape, so he's in the right place. Brilliant. But does he need 15 minutes of lecture on how leaning forward different amounts during lateral raises will shift the load from mid to rear delt? I mean, accurate, I suppose, but that guy's priority? Probably not. Probably not ever. Also, something that bugged me was that the Whoop doesn't use your daily exertion levels to adjust your recovery metric anyway. For example, you have a bad night's sleep, but then take a real easy day, have a few naps even. It won't tell you go hit your 8 PM workout that night hard, because it still regards you as poorly recovered. Whereas Garmin's body battery would have seen recovery during that easy day go up, or not. Perhaps it might be the bad night's sleep was because of an underlying illness. Maybe you did spend the day continually producing low readings and should stay at the gym, but you would know. I didn't like that basically getting a rubbish reading at 7 AM meant that I was still having to rely on that to decide whether or not to work out hard 12 hours later. So bottom line, I wasn't buying into the whole measure you all day stuff. So then 2 days ago, along comes the 4.0 announcement. Quite a few changes, including better heart rate tracking, built-in wake-up haptic feedback buzzer, and you can stick it in a special pocket within Whoop's new compression clothing. All nice stuff. I was sold. I placed my order for the upgrade immediately, and then to convince myself I was doing the right thing, I looked over my week's data in some detail, and sure enough, I was lining up to be ready for tomorrow's run, thanks to these gadgets. My exertion on Whoop was low but steady. My recovery was up from a poor night on Monday. Garmin had me sorted too, from my overtraining period to my just right period to my now winding down in readiness period. Garmin showed it all, along with my body battery returning to 100% every night for the last few nights. And so I was chatting with Jen and my kids and said, yeah, I'm keeping the Whoop, getting the 4.0 version because it's prepared me so well. It's proven its worth. And they said, what? You went to bed earlier, you took it easy, and you reduced your workout intensity because you're about to run so far that you might well die. And that's something that you needed a tracker to do. I said, well, hang on. The 4.0 vibrates and you can stick it in your boxer shorts. And that did not convince them, or me really, which kind of sums up the Whoop experience for me. It does plenty of stuff. And what this does, badly, the 4.0 will probably rectify. I'm just not sure the value, especially given the subscription service. You literally pay forever for it. So I went back to basics. I thought, what do I need? I need exercise tracking, spot on, heart rate, distance, speed, time. If I'm running, I want cadence and run dynamics. On the bike, I want power and pedaling metrics. And the Garmin Fenix is unbeatable. Even if they made the 4.0 with a chest strap compatibility option, I'm never going to regard it as a serious exercise tracker compared to something like that. I then like the idea of nighttime tracking for the heart rate variability measurement and resting pulse. One is a good measure of overall fitness and one is a good clue to whether you're just under the weather or not. And if you get consistently poor results, then there's an issue that you can look at with your sleep and see what needs resolving. But do I need to monitor my routine daily? Maybe if I had a really stressful physical job, I suppose seeing what toll that took on me during the day might be of value. But for me, the most exertive thing I ever do is my workouts, and Garmin has got me covered with my exercise load metrics on the Fenix already. And so then I jumped into the Whoop subreddit. And I thought, okay, I'm going to read what existing users are all saying about the update, the announcement. Their positivity will be infectious, and it will deal with any doubts I have about keeping the Whoop. And almost immediately, the first comment I come across was somebody complaining about the haptic feedback alarm, saying that it didn't do everything they wanted it to do. And somebody else had dived into the specs of the new 4.0 and explained that actually there's 3 different ways in which it could wake you up at the opportune time in the morning. And the guy said, yeah, that's not enough though, because I also want it to vibrate and remind me when to go to sleep. And my first thought was, seriously, do you need telling to go to sleep? Is that not the job of your mum until you're about 8 and then a clock thereafter? But my second thought was, do you know what? I bet there's someone at Whoop who's loving that and currently building it into an update coming in the future. Because they want you to be all embracing, to have this device stuck in various bits of clothing, giving you constant feedback, being part of your life. Go to sleep, wake up, rest, don't rest. Dealing with every bit of your physical life the way that the smartphone has basically covered everything else. And I don't know whether me sitting here now thinking I just don't need that will make me sound, in hindsight, like somebody saying we don't need to have instant access to our emails and our messages and our phones 20 years ago, when clearly we didn't need it, but there is actually huge value in having it. But I'm out. What could have kept me using a Whoop? I suppose chest strap compatibility would have been good, and the ability to go into the daily heart rate data and make edits to inconsistent measurements would have been good. I can't quite get my head around the subscription model. Maybe if the sensors on the 4.0 are as good as they say, it will cover the first 2, and then that will make paying a subscription more bearable. I will certainly watch the reviews with interest when they come out. But for now, this is my fitness tracking setup. Garmin Fenix 6X for any exercise I want to track, from running to kayaking, everything in between. The only thing that would ever replace that for that job is the Fenix 7 when it comes, who knows when. By monitoring my exercise, it can produce very accurate training load measurement. That's all I need from that. Then the Garmin Vivo Smart 4 for body battery and 24/7 monitoring when I want it. The Fenix will do that too, but it's too big for 24/7 use. And when I say when I want it, because I don't need that measurement all the time, tomorrow's race is a perfect example. When I have a tough event coming up or have just done one, knowing how I am faring makes perfect sense. Right now, I can't wait to get back in the gym next week and start hitting the weights heavy on Monday. Something I've not done for about 10 days now because I haven't wanted to risk an injury or simply overstraining myself unnecessarily. The same with Zwift on the bike in here. I've not done any hard rides this week. But if I look at my body battery next Tuesday, say, and it shows that I spent the previous 3 days unable to fully recover from Saturday's run, that will give me an indication that I might not want to be quite so gung-ho. So around tough events, I want to monitor stuff. Now, if Garmin had a means of wearing a body battery device a little more subtly than this thing, then I'd happily do it 24/7. This does look a little bit geeky to wear all the time. And it's still annoying that the synchronization of data between the Fenix and the Garmin is not as fluid as it should be, as covered in my last video. So all the points from that video still stand. And that will be almost it, the 2 Garmins. I say almost because the one thing that I keep being suggested is the Aura Ring. Now, although marketed as a wear it 24/7 tracker, it does tend to have its focus based on sleep time. And plenty of people I've spoken to actually only wear it overnight for that very purpose. It intrigues me enough that it's worth having a play with during its 30-day free trial, so I'm going to be using that shortly. Okay, I am out of here. I've got to go check my kit for tomorrow's run, for which apparently I am reasonably well prepared. Actually, I should take that back. I am reasonably well rested. If these devices knew I was planning to run 100k tomorrow, they would probably want to revise their assessment of my readiness for all that and flash up some sort of warning. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.